Hello, everybody. Today we are going to talk about factoring special products. Okay, so factoring is the reverse process of multiplying. So in order to factor, you should find the greatest common factor of all the terms in the polynomial. So I look here at this polynomial right here, 3x plus 6, and I want to know what do these two terms have in common? Okay, well, there's a 3 here and there's a 3 in here. So I can factor that 3 out, and that would leave me with an x here plus 2. So I'm basically just dividing 3 out of this thing. I'm finding the greatest common factor, and I'm dividing it out. Okay, so next. This one here. Okay, I've got a 5 here, and there's 5s in here, so I can factor out a 5. That leaves me with an x squared minus 3, because 3 times 5 is 15. Okay, and then for this last one, when I look here, there's a 2 in all of these things, so I can factor out a 2. Leaves me with a 2x squared here. Leaves me with a 3x right here, and leaves me with a 4 right there. Okay, now if you had made a mistake and there's still a common factor in here after you take this out, you can always factor again, but this one doesn't have anything. This doesn't have an x term. These two have a 2 in them that you can factor out, but that one doesn't. So that's as far as you're going to go with this one. Okay. Now, here's a special case called the difference of two perfect squares. So any polynomial of the form a squared minus b squared can be factored into a minus b times a plus b. So, for example, we've got one right here. Okay, there's a perfect square. That's a perfect square because I can square root both of those. So this is going to become x minus 3, x plus 3. Okay. So why don't you take a second, look at this one, see if you can find what this one's going to be, factor it, pause the video, factor this thing, and then jump back on and see how you did. Okay, so this is a perfect square. This is a perfect square. There's a difference, so I can factor this. So the square root of this is going to be 5x. It's going to go here and here. Square root of that is 4. It's going to go here and here. And minus and plus, and I'm done. So hopefully that's what you got as well. All right, now look at this one. This one is not a difference of two perfect squares because 7 isn't a perfect square. However, you can make anything a perfect square if you want to. So I could factor this. Okay, so this would be 2x would go here and here, minus and plus. And then the square root of 7 is just the square root of 7, so I can just put a square root of 7 in there like that. And I forced this to be a perfect square then, okay? Because I can square root any positive thing that I want. Okay. Now, factoring trinomials. All right, so this is a trinomial because it's got 3 terms. Okay, how do you factor these? Well, here's what I need to do. I'm going to go ahead and put my parentheses down here. And I take the factors of this, or x and x, so I can put those here and here. Now, I need the factors of 8 that will make 2. So my factors of 8 are 1 and 8, and they're 2 and 4. Okay? So 1 and 8 I can make 9, and I can make 7. So that's not going to be it, so we can cross that one out. And then 2 and 4 I can make 2, or I can make 6. Well, I want the 2, so I'm going to put the 2 here and the 4 there. It doesn't matter if I put the 4 here and the 2 there. Okay, but I want a positive 2, so it's going to be plus 4 and minus 2. And I've now factored that. So you want to take the factors of this that will add up to this. Okay? So let's look at this one. I need the factors of 9 that will make 10. So my factors of 9 are 1 and 9, and 3 and 3. Okay, so here I can make 6 or I can make 0. That's not going to work. I can make 10 if I have 1 plus 9. So my x's are going to go here. I got a 1 and a 9. I need to make positive 10, so they're both going to be plus. So now if I FOIL this, I get x squared plus 9x plus another x makes 10x's plus 9. And I get this. Okay, why don't you take a second, pause the video, and try this one and see what you get. Okay, so I always try to think of this. I put my parentheses down. I try to think of this as there's 4 places I have to fill. 2 of them are going to come from here, and 2 are going to come from here. And then I just got to put the signs in to make it work, to make this, okay? So my factors of x squared are x and x. Now my factors of 1, I only have one choice, 1 and 1, okay? And I need to make negative 2, so I want minus 1 and minus 1. Now it's important, you should always check that the last, negative 1 times negative 1, multiplies together to be positive 1, which it does. There's a couple of these that you run into, some of them fairly often, where there's 2 sets of factors of this that will add up to this number here. But one of the sets will make this positive and the other one will make it negative. So you got to really pay attention. Okay. Now this one's a little different because it's got something other than just x squared in here, so that complicates things a bit. Okay, so now I've got my factors here are 1 and 15 and 3 and 5. Little hint to yourself, I would always check these that are closest together first and work my way to that, unless it's obvious what the answer is. And after you do a bunch of these, you'll get used to it, and you'll start seeing the obvious ones. Okay, now here's what's different about this one. To make 6x squared, I can have 6x and x, or I can have 3x and 2x. So I've got to make a combination. There's 2 combinations here, and there's 2 combinations here. I got to make one in the middle, okay? So I usually try to start with these in the middle here. So I'll start with 3x and 2x, and then let's see, 3 and 5. If I put the 5 here and the 3 here, I get 10x in the middle, and I get 9x on the outside. So 10 and 9, I can make 19, and I can make 1. So that's not going to work. All right, so the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to switch these two, and I'm going to put the 5 here and the 3 there. Okay, so this would make 6x, and this would make 15x. And I can't make 1x with that. So what do? Well, here's what I'm going to do. I've tried all my possible combinations with 3 and 5. So let's try the other one. Let's try 1 and 15. So if I put a 1 here and a 15 here, I get 30x and I get 3x. I can 30x and 3x. I can make 33, or I can make 27. So that's definitely not going to work. I can switch these, but that only makes it worse because that's 45 and 2. I can't make 1 out of that. So, all right, so I tried everything here with the 3x and the 2x. So that means that one's out. Whoops, that one's out. All right, so I've got 6x and x. And let's see. If I put the 5 here and the 3 here, that's 18 and 5. Well, I can't make 1 with that. Somehow I feel like I missed it on the last one. But let's try it again. Let's do the same thing. We'll flip it. 3 and 5. That makes 30 and 3, so that's not going to work. 15 and 1. Well, it's certainly not the 15 here because 15 times 6 would be like 90. So what if I go 15? Here? No, somewhere I missed something. So let's go back and take a look. I bet this is... Let's go into the 3x and the 2x. I must have added wrong. Oh, yeah, I missed it. The 5 there and the 3 there. Okay, so this is 10 and that's 9. All right, so there's what my mistake was. I had this right away. Okay, so I want plus 1. So I'm going to plus, I want the positive 10 and I want the negative 9. There we go. So you got to be careful. There's a example right there. You got to be careful when you're doing your adding and subtracting. You might want to write those things down so you don't make a mistake because we had this originally and we just missed it. Okay. Okay. One more here. All right, let's look at this one. I've got a 16x squared and a 9y squared here. Yikes. Okay, so let's see. My factors here are going to be 16x and x, and 8x and 2x and 4x and 4x. Here I've got 9y and y, 3y and 3. That's it. So there's what, 2, 4, 6 possible combinations. I got to make 24xy in the middle. Okay, I'm betting. I'm going to go with the 4x and the 4x here. Start with that. And I'm going to go with the 3y and the 3. Whoops. 3y and the 3y. Sorry. I'll put those here and here. Okay, so this makes 12xy, and that makes 12xy. That's going to make 24xy. I want them both to be plus. And there we go. Got that one on the first thing. So, usually have better luck if you start with the numbers that are closer together. Unless this is a really big or really small, really big number, or really small number negative, then you might want to try one of these sets of numbers because you need the 16 and the 9 to get really big. Okay. So on these, we're going to remove a common monomial and then we can factor things. So check this out. This one here, the first thing when I look at this thing, it's got a 3 and there's a 3 in there. So let's factor this. We'll take the 3 out. That leaves me with x squared minus 9. And then I go, well, hey, that's a difference of two perfect squares, so I can factor it down to x minus 3, x plus 3. And here's my final answer. I factored it completely. Okay. Why don't you take a second, pause the video, and try these two right here and see how you do, and then jump back on, and you can see if you got them right. Okay. These are all divisible by 3, so let's get that 3 out of there first. That's going to leave me with an x squared minus 10x. And then this is going to be plus 25. Okay, now this is factorable here. So my factors of this are x and x. Factors of 25, 1 and 25, 5 and 5, and I need to make negative 10. Well, 5 and 5, I can make a 10 if they're both negative, and a negative times a negative is a positive, and so this works. I'm done. Okay, on this one, let's see. I can take out a 4, definitely, because all these are divisible by 4. And they all have a y, so I can take out a y. And that leaves me with a 4y squared That leaves me with a 20y. And that leaves me with a 25. Okay. Now from here, I can factor this middle part. Let's see. I need to make 20. Let's go with 4y and y and 5 and 5. What is that? That makes 20 and 5. I can't make 20 out of 20 and 5. So let's try this. Let's go by what I had said before. Let's go with the factors that are closest together. So 2y and 2y. Oh, there we go. Because there's 10y and there's another 10y. Both of those are positive. That makes 20y. And so there's my answer. As you do more and more of these, you will become much faster and much more proficient at looking at this and seeing what these are going to be quicker and quicker. Okay, so here's a nice little worksheet for you to factor a bunch of these things. Have fun, and I will talk to you later.